Hello, Year 8, welcome back. I hope you had a nice, relaxing 5 10 minute break and you got yourself something to drink, even something to eat. I would like you to start on a new page of your book. If you have written in the first few lines of a fresh page, then stick on that page by all means. But I'm hoping that you've all got a whole page full of notes already, and we can start off a new part of the lesson on a new page. Here we go. We're going to look at technology in pre-Roman and Roman Britain, and we're going to need to organise our ideas. So before we get started on that, I want you to split your page, which is in portrait. I want you to split it into 4 columns with 4 headings. The smallest, narrowest column on the left is technology, then pre-Roman, brackets Celtic, and then Roman, and the final column on the other side, which can also be a narrow column, how much change. Pause the video here and copy that table on your screen. Okay, in order to know what change has happened and therefore measure it, we need to know our starting point. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background on pre-Roman Britain, otherwise known as Celtic Britain. And I want you to fill in that first column, the column that says pre-Roman. And I want you to be thinking about those 5 different aspects, okay? Military, transport, buildings, the settlement, and the other one. Okay. So before the Romans conquered Britain, it was unified. It was not unified, sorry, but separate, separated into smaller areas and controlled by lots of different tribes. And although each tribe had a name, we refer to those pre-Roman peoples by the name the Romans gave them, the Celts. And before the Roman invasion of Britain, almost everyone farmed. Communities were spread out into farming villages, although there were larger settlements, which were hill forts built on hills, like the one in the picture at Maiden Castle in Dorset, which still exists and is massive. I've been there myself. It's quite incredible for something which is just the hill these days, but would have been busy and bustling. We've zoomed in on the settlement at Maiden Castle to take a close look at life there. And I want you to have a look at this picture and see what notes you can make about life in this picture. What are they using for transport? What are the roads like? Are there any roads, in fact? And if so, what are they like? What are the buildings like? How big are they? What are they made from? In the settlement section, you can comment on the size of this settlement. You can comment on the type of settlement as well. Is it very urban? Is it very rural? What do you think? Underwater, I want you to think about, where are they getting their water from? Is there any obvious technology there that suggests that, they have water, that they're using water? What's the deal? And finally, are there any clues about the military in this settlement? Can you see anything that suggests military to you? Okay, pause the video here, have a think about that picture. Don't worry if you can't get everything right now, because there's another slide coming up. Pause the video here and just see what you think and fill in your first column. Right, going into a bit more detail and hopefully giving you a bit more to write down if you haven't already. This is inside a roundhouse, inside one of those roundhouses that we were hovering above in the previous slide. As you can see, it's typical nuclear Celtic family at home, just doing their daily thing. Okay, and as you look around, in the top right corner, I've given you a bit of detail about what this place is made from. Walls of a roundhouse are built using wattle and daub, which is woven pieces of wood covered in a mixture of mud and straw. And the roof of this roundhouse is also built from wood and straw. And as you look around the picture, I've also indicated some details about water and about war. So just have a read of those boxes and make any notes you can, and then we'll move on. Just pause the video here, have a look, make some notes, and then we'll move on. Right. So hopefully you've got the idea about the Celts, different peoples living in Britain, living in fairly rural settlements, farming communities, not much evidence of soldiers, not much evidence of water technology, not much evidence of transport really, apart from that one guy on his cart. But definitely big buildings, large buildings, but maybe not large by our standards. And perhaps you might think that the reason for this is maybe they didn't have technology to be able to build large buildings. Maybe they didn't have the resources, or maybe they just didn't have the knowledge. And so we're going to look at how Celtic Britain on the left-hand side becomes Roman Britain on the right-hand side, which includes a lot of features technologically that we would recognise today. Bit of background for you. Emperor Claudius invades in 43 AD. He's doing it as a bit of a glory hunt. He needs to show that he is militarily successful, and so he invades Britain. Have a little read of this slide, get acquainted with the beginning of the story. Pause the video now and do that, and we'll move on. So, for your first Roman part of your table, I want you to read this about the military. Make any notes about military technology that you can. Okay, pause the video here, make any notes about military technology, and we'll move on. A bit more about the effect of the Roman army, the camps that they built, and what happened to them, and how they affected life in Britain. Again, have a read, and then pause the video, or rather pause the video, have a read before we move on. Right, so this is all about transport. Start reading on the top left-hand side and work your way around this picture. Make notes in the box labelled transport and pause the video, read that there, make as many notes as you can, you have space for, and then we'll move on. And next one is settlements. I've picked Londinium because obviously we are from Londinium. Have a little look at this picture. It tells you a lot about the difference between a Roman settlement compared to an Iron Age hill fort. For a start, there are no hills in sight here, and there are no walls or defensive ditches. It's very much set out like, you know, a lot of modern Italian cities are, because of course they're built on Roman layouts as well. So have a little read, make a note. What's the difference between this and an INA settlement? Pause the video here. Next one is buildings. Read through the notes again. Make some notes yourself. How are these buildings different to the Celtic buildings? And then move on. Pause the video now. And water. I've got a couple of slides for this because there is so much technology based around the use of water. The Romans are really quite advanced when it comes to this. So have a read, have a look at the pictures, make some notes, pause the video here, and then come back. So you saw in the previous slide how the Romans harnessed water via aqueducts. They were used in many, many different parts of Roman life, just as water is used in many parts of our modern lives. Have a little read of this. I put some interesting facts about the greatest sewer. Make some notes about that, and I'll see you on the next slide. Pause the video here. Finally, just chuck this one in because it'd be terrible if I didn't chuck it in. The most perhaps longest term impact on this city, Aquae Sulis, was the Roman baths that were built, which lent its idea, its concept to the name of the modern English town, which is Bath, which you can go and visit. And you see on the top right-hand corner of that picture, you can go and visit there, go and have a swim, and enjoy the mineral waters, just as those Romans are doing 2,000 years ago in the bottom. Let's move on. So you should have 2 columns so far filled up with little observations about transport, buildings, settlements, water, military technology in pre-Roman and Roman Britain. And some of you may even have made notes about how much change there was. If you haven't done that, pause the video here, complete that third and final column. How much change in technology is there between the pre-Roman and Roman Britons? Pause the video here. Okay. For those of you who want to go a bit further, leave a couple of spaces at the bottom of your table. And for distinctions, absolutely distinctions, because this is going a little bit beyond, I would like you to look for other examples of technology that changed between Celtic and Roman Britain. Medical technology is a big one. Those tools you can see on the screen are Roman surgical tools. They didn't just go willy-nilly trying to work out how people or why people were sick. They actually had science and medical knowledge, and they have the tools to be able to apply that knowledge. I put some links up if you want to go and find out more about Roman Britain. Super documentary, what the Romans did for us, and add a couple more columns, rows to your table for distinctions. Okay, moving on. Time to take a break. 5-10 minutes. Let your brain relax again. Let it get a breath, get some tea, get a biscuit. Unless you already have, in which case don't worry. And I will see you back here for the third and final part, which will be a little bit shorter. You're over the hump of the lesson now. Third and final part will be next. Okay, go and take a break. Bye.